Like and subscribe and click the bell icon to get new video updates.
Panic buying and long queues seen at Beijing supermarkets as authorities deny lockdown rumors. Beijing has denied it is heading for COVID-19 lockdown as panic buying grips the Chinese capital, while in Shanghai, officials have combed the city for lingering cases in the hope of clearing the way to escape from weeks of painful restrictions. There are fears Beijing could go the way of Shanghai, the commercial hub of 25 million people which has been battling a far larger outbreak and endured weeks of lockdown. Daily cases in Beijing have remained in the dozens, a tiny fraction of the outbreak in Shanghai and what other cities around the world now shrug off as they look to live with the virus. But with gradually tightening curbs in China's capital, most recently suspending taxi services in some virus-hit districts, rumors swirled on Thursday, local time, that it was headed for lockdown, something Beijing has avoided during the entire pandemic. There were chaotic scenes inside some supermarkets late on Thursday as residents rushed to stock up on supplies while anxiously listening to Beijing's daily covered news conference on their phones. Residents nervous as restrictions tightened. Grace Zhao stood in a 50-meter queue outside one supermarket in Chaoyang, Beijing's most populous district and the epicenter of its current outbreak. "This is quite unhealthy because people are in a very nervous mood," she said. Restaurants are the latest to be banned from opening as Beijing continues to tighten its COVID-19 restrictions, with schools already closing and negative tests required for public transport. Read more. Authorities there have already banned dine-in services at restaurants, closed some malls, entertainment and tourist venues, suspended sections of its bus and subway systems and imposed lockdowns on some residential buildings. Officials at the news conference denied rumors of a lockdown and told people not to panic buy, but also encouraged residents to stay home and said they would launch a new round of mass testing across most of the city. China also said on Thursday it would strictly limit unnecessary travel outside the country by Chinese citizens. Most international flights in and out of China have been cancelled during the past 2 years. Shanghai not out of the woods yet. Shanghai, the commercial hub of 25 million people that has been battling a far larger outbreak and endured weeks of lockdown, has in recent days been tightening curbs in a push to eradicate the virus by the end of the month after making significant recent progress, according to data this week. Shanghai's mass testing detected just 2 new cases outside areas facing the strictest curbs on May 11, officials said on Thursday, after finding none the previous day. Authorities in China's largest city have again tightened antivirus restrictions, just as it was emerging from a month of strict lockdown due to a COVID-19 outbreak. Read more. Significantly, the cases were found in 2 of the city's 16 districts, Xuhui and Fengxian, that authorities said this week were among 8 that had achieved zero COVID status, having had no community cases for 3 consecutive days. The latest cases show the difficulty in finishing off the highly transmissible Omicron variant despite ruthless enforcement of some of China's harshest restrictions since the virus emerged in the city of Wuhan in late 2019. The new infections also raise concern about how long a return to normal life might last under China's uncompromising zero-COVID policy after the lockdown is finally lifted. Authorities doubled down on anti-COVID efforts. Yu Linwei, vice-governor of Xuhui, told a news conference his district would not relax anti-epidemic efforts, making sure everyone was tested and that new cases and their close contacts were isolated in quarantine as quickly as possible. "We dare not slack off," he said. Overall, Shanghai reported more than 1,000 new cases, but they were in areas already under the tightest controls and significantly below peak. The cases found in the relatively freer communities are the ones most closely watched for clues as to where Shanghai's outbreak is heading. China has doubled down on its global trend-bucking policy, putting hundreds of millions of people in dozens of cities under movement curbs, causing significant economic damage and disruption to international trade and supply chains. Authorities say their COVID policy is saving lives and point to the millions of deaths caused by the virus elsewhere to justify the strategy. Dystopian nightmare as restrictions show no signs of easing, but for many residents it is taking a heavy toll. In an apartment building in Shanghai's central Jing'an district, residents were told once again they could not leave their flats after being allowed out last week to walk around the compound. As restrictive as it was, those 10 minutes of freedom, being able to get some fresh